lot of people stop too soon. And what I mean by that is they stop their healing, they stop their reflecting, they haven't really made it into a subconscious sort of second nature, the way they handle life. And so they can fall back into old patterns because they haven't done it long enough to make it sort of like a natural way of living. And so a lot of people stop too soon. And for me, like, my healing isn't complete until I get what I want. And what I'm going after is financial security and freedom, and a way to make money where I don't have to abide by, you know, an extreme level of abuse to earn that money. Now we live in a world that is perfectly imperfect, so there's going to be some sort of sacrifice at some point in order to achieve this, right? But at the same time, some people say, well, like, they're gonna blame for other people. They're gonna think they did the work that they didn't do, and then they wonder why they're stuck. And I suppose you're meant to keep going and keep healing and keep purging, keep revising until you get what you want, which is freedom of choice. Not settling for a partner that you know you don't want. Not settling for a job that you know you don't want. Not settling for a life that you know you don't want. And some of us will convince ourselves this is what we want. And you'll feel it, because if you've done the healing, something's still going to feel off, because that's what got you going in that direction in the first place. So you have to learn how to trust yourself. And there's going to be growing pains along the way that are really challenging to get through. And it's in those moments, like, if you jump back into an old pattern instead of into a new path, then that's your that doesn't mean that's your best option. That means you've settled again and you went back to a past pattern instead of a new path. And so for me to create a new path, I know, for one thing, it's taking step by step, much like when I was a toddler learning to walk. It's going to be uncomfortable, but I need to get to the point where I'm not judging myself, where I'm giving myself room to learn and make a mess and grow. There's going to be growing pains, which are uncomfortable moments. And when you fall back into a past pattern, it's fast, it's impulsive, and you're overly confident. You're like, I can do this, but, like, you can't. Because your health has been telling you along this whole path, like, I can't do this anymore. You're putting your body and your mind through situations and tolerating abuse and telling yourself this is life. And so, and just because you see, well, everyone else does this, everyone else is telling me to do this, doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it right for you. Some people have never even, they're just not willing to open to the idea that their life is dysfunctional, one-sided, abusive, and whatever side they're on. They could be the one causing the abuse. They could be the one who's enduring the abuse. And usually when you endure the abuse, if you don't change something, this is a drastic change. This isn't I'm going to change a work environment, because if you haven't changed anything but yourself, you're still enduring the same thing. You're still tolerating the same thing and calling it, you know, it's just like, instead you were eating chocolate ice cream and now you're eating strawberry ice cream, and it's still bad for you. You just convince yourself it's different. And so it takes a lot of time to reflect and make sure and be honest with yourself. Be honest, like, am I actually happy doing this? Does this make me happy? And so it's hard, because the body wants to keep you safe. Safe meaning stuck, meaning survival mode, exerting as little energy as possible. You know, staying with the herd mentality, which is considered safe, but if you look at the herd you're in, it's actually dysfunctional and unhealthy. And so those things are false. And you have to learn to see the false, I guess, would you call that like a false truth? Because it's not right, and your body's going to feel that. And then when you stay in abusive situations, you start to abuse your body. What does that mean? You start intaking items like dairy, sugar. These are comfort foods, joy, and dairy for insulating yourself from the dysfunction and the abuse that you're tolerating. And then, you know, you use carbs to fill up that hole in the soul. And so, like, when you start moving towards a life that you love, you watch these things, this screen time, these sex addictions, running back to past partners that you know aren't good for you. When you start creating a life that you love, these things will start to drop off, because you're bored and you settled and you need to create something else. And is it challenging? For sure it is. But challenge is healthy. Stress and abuse is not. And that's when your system has been overworked, and your lack of self-worth has caused you to overwork, and your inability to learn how to trust yourself and tie into your actual intuition is what's creating this cycle of abuse. So You deserve better. And I can't be the one. I can tell you all you want, but if it's you that's got to make the move, you that's got to take the action, I can only amp you up from the sidelines. It's you that's got to take on the main role and walk that walk. So hopefully you choose you. Be sure to like and subscribe. Follow this channel for more information on how I'm doing this within my life, so you can figure it out for yours. Thanks for watching.